that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. Exodus 15:3. It says, the Lord is a man of war, the Lord is his name. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. All right. So we've started in on the armor and the warrior mindset, if you will. And so I wanted to just start right in with some of the armor again. I know a lot of us have heard this through the years. We've studied it, we've read it, and we've applied it. But at the same time, there's always more to get, more to gain, things that maybe we didn't get before. And again, guys, I want us to know and understand that this can always be open for thoughts and discussion. So maybe before we move along, I know we got a lot out tonight, but you're here and I'm here. So who remembers the challenge from the last one? Not the Father's Day, but the one previous to that. We challenged on some of the scriptures. Brother Cliff? Be aware. Be watchful. Be watchful. Remember that? And we challenged ourselves from that night on to be watchful, or to be aware, to be aware of our surroundings, be aware of what's happening, be watchful for what's approaching, be watchful for what's trying to hinder us or get us. How many of you have felt that you was able to apply that? Okay, good. And I would challenge us. You need to challenge yourself with these things every day. Now, I'm going to challenge us more, and challenge us, all of us, more to be watchful. What's going on? Is this the enemy? Is this something that is going to try to take me down? There was an old man said one time, it's an old preacher, and he preached a message, by what trick is the enemy taking you down? So you got to be watchful. You got to be aware. Up to this point, I know we've been covering a lot. Anybody have any thoughts to share, or comments, or what's been helping you, or what's been something that you're gaining from these events? Anybody?
So one thing that I've been paying attention to is the being watchful. So I've been noticing quite a bit lately on caskets coming up. So like I said, I was reminded of what I used to do and how I used to act. I got tempted really hard, actually this week, that I'm no good at my job. I'm no good at doing what I'm doing. I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm better off going back to doing that. Really tempted, and being watchful, I was able to say, you know what, that's not what God has desired for me. That's just the fear that's trying to attack and control. So being watchful, in the past, it was just like, hey, whatever, it's no big deal, it's just another thought. But like I testified a week ago, that I caught myself about to cuss, and I was like, wait a second, no, that's not what I want to do, that's not where I want to be. And so I was able to be watchful, be aware of what I was doing, how I was acting, where.
Yeah. What? So you'll encounter a lot of things. When you start being aware and being watchful, you're going to encounter a lot more than you did before. And one of them is going to be maybe some fear. It may be, it will be a reckoning of really what's happening. And now that you're being watchful, and there's some things that do need to bring a fear or a caution. There's things that you'll see as you begin to be watchful that, man, why didn't I see that before? You ever been there? Man, what? Now that I'm paying attention, why didn't I see this before? Now, and a lot of times, you know, when you begin to be watchful, your past will come up because you'll realize that's where this is what's been giving me a problem, or this is what I had to get past. This is why I'm able to be where I'm at now, because I got past that, because we're being watchful. Anybody else?
I think that watchfulness, like what Cliff was saying, it's not something, it comes from experience. It comes from you putting it into action. You're not all of a sudden just going to go from not ever being watchful to being watchful. It's going to be somewhat of a process of learning, just like I was thinking, like at the gym nights and stuff when we play basketball. You know, some things happen, you know, usually me and Bill Lyman are guarding each other or whatever, and so we know each other, we know the game, and so sometimes things happen, or I'll do something with the ball, he'll do something with the ball that I know very well. It never crossed my mind. It just happened because I instinctively reacted, but I didn't get that way overnight. It came through just years of playing it, and so it's the same way spiritually. But it took a lot of practice to get there. It took a lot of experiences and a lot of failures even at times. You know, I'm not saying go back to that. You know, so these things come. It's the same way you'll learn. I remember temptations that came as a young person that, as I got stronger in the Lord, so that, I mean, I could just walk right through them. It's like they popped up and they were dismissed so fast. It was just like, you just go through the day and it's just like, they're not even there anymore, but they are. But it's because we're watching, I'm seeing it play out, just like playing basketball. I see a pick and roll coming a mile away, way before it gets there, you know? And it's the same way especially. You see the devil try, oh, nope, not going to go down that aisle. I see what's going to try to, you know, just so many things, but it does come through experience, you know?
But like talking right now, who knows what a pick and roll is? You see what I mean? So there's lingo even that you learn. Like when you're on defense and you say, hey, pick and roll, everybody that's on the floor on defense ought to know what that is. But when you're new, that sounds like a wrestling move, or, you know, I don't know, something you do baking something in the kitchen, you know. But, I mean, we had all kinds of things. Scissors, backdoor, you know, give and go. There's all kinds, but you learn all those things. And then you begin to see them develop before they do. You almost can anticipate it. And you will do this, you will find in your experience, through experience, you might get burned a few times. I've been burnt a few times on a plane, but that didn't happen the rest of the night. It didn't take me the rest of the night to figure that out. One or two times, and here's another thing, guys, listen to me. And this just comes from years. I'm talking, I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate. Thousands of games, but I mean, the only other thing I've done more than go to church in my life was play basketball. All right, that much. Before we stepped on the court, I'd already watched the game. I already had an idea of the flow. Either team who won that we was going to play. I already had a flow of that team, what was going on. Us five could walk on and already know what needed to take place. Or maybe with a small or short conversation. It was just automatic. So what we're trying to say, because you're watchful, you can almost, this is what makes the devil so mad. And we're way ahead on this because this is part of a soldier is being versatile. And we'll get into these mighty men who they were just, the enemy, there's just some people that the enemy don't want to mess with. There were just some guys that you dreaded to guard. I don't care if it was basketball, football, whatever, you know, deal with, all right? I wanted to be that guy on the court that they didn't want to deal with. And so I tried to develop my game that could play anywhere on the court, going any direction with either hand. That's just what I wanted to be that person's problem. Hey, and it always happened. I got him. I got him. Okay, that's fine. All right. It didn't matter. So here, when you develop that kind of mindset, and then you get into the spiritual side of things, I approach it all the same. I approach it all the same. The devil, I have a fear of being lost or not being saved, but I'm not afraid that I'm going to backslide. Okay, the devil, hear me out. The devil don't scare me. I know who he is and what he can do, but I know I've been through so much spiritual warfare with God and have exercised this armor that we're talking about that, hey, it's just like, all right, I already know in my mind and in my heart, God's helped me through so much that I don't have to give in. I don't have to backslide. You can see it coming from a distance. You've been there. You've battled it. It's like, well, they said, but that was, I've been saved 30-something years. That was in the first little bit. It's not that other things don't come along, but you have so much experience in season. It's not that you can't backslide, because I can. All I have to do is let down. I could be guarded. I could be scored on if I just let off. If I just let off. And you know, when that happened, by the end of the night, and as the saying is, if you run all night, by the time you got towards the end of 2 hours of playing, and maybe we did get beat or we got scored on, it was because we got tired. Got tired. And I always knew when I began to get tired, because my shots would be short, my pass wouldn't be crisp, I wouldn't even think about following the shot. We all knew when the shot went up, there's 5 guys getting caught in the net. It was just automatic. That began to come back. All right? We would begin to just let them get the ball. Yeah. And we would just fall back. Okay? But that was at the end of the night. So listen, but you got to stay crisp. Okay? You got to, as our experience grows, and this is why I heard, and I said this not long ago, I heard a preacher say one time, I'm not worried about the old ones, I'm concentrating on the young ones. I'm going to tell you right now, the old ones are at the end, they're tired. And if they need someone to cheer them on, they need someone. And so it doesn't matter how long. Go ahead.
No, you done? Okay, before I forget, so I know not everyone understands. I think we can all get something from the parallel, even though if you don't play basketball. I learned something from a young person a couple of years ago. We were playing, and he was a pretty good player. His dad was one that we played with a lot, understood the game really well. And he was on my team. He was younger, maybe 15, 16, maybe 17, 18. But he kept getting beat. He wasn't cutting the baseline off. He kept getting beat to the baseline. And so finally I said, you can't give up the baseline. I said, he's got to win every time. And so he did it again. And so then after the game, and this is what I learned. He came up to me, and I appreciated he come to me because, man, I don't even know what the baseline is. His dad didn't play with him a lot. You know, whatever, you're not playing his dad. But he's saying if you don't play full court volleyball, that's probably something you're not going to play. Right. But he was willing and eager enough to learn. Yeah. Because he knew it was costing his team. He didn't know why necessarily, but he was willing to come to someone that did know and say, hey man, what are you talking about? What, you know? Yeah. And so sometimes things happen, and maybe we hear something and we don't know what it means. Don't fake it, don't act like you do, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really good. Yeah. But then, you mentioned another thing, like the main reason why part of the reason we were successful is we expected to win. Okay? And the reason we expected to win is because we were confident that we had put the work in. Okay? In the same way spiritually, you go into a battle, if we're not confident in the work that we put in, there's going to be some doubt, and possibly rightly so.
Yeah.
And earlier I tell you, I mean, there was games that we realized, wow, we got to step up. We got to hand it to us. We weren't good enough, right? And they can happen spiritually, but the biggest thing that the first place of letdown, because there was times when we had a couple of gym records that we ran 14 or 16 games in a row, okay? And yeah, you get tired. But the first thing that shows up when you get tired is on defense. Because everybody you get energized when you got the ball. But because the defensive part is more like you're gunning out this responsibility. You're not going to score, but it shows up big time on the scoreboard. So same way spiritually, a lot of times we think, oh well, I'm just going to take a little break here or let down. It's not that big of a deal. Well, it's all a big deal.
Yeah.
And that was
And here was the thing. If we lost, we were not happy.
right.
Okay, we were disappointed in ourselves because, as he said, we expected to win. I expect to stay saved.
Right.
I expect to be saved tomorrow at the end of the day. Every morning when I wake up, I expect to be saved at the end of the day. And if for some reason I wasn't, and I'm telling you something, we was upset. We were disappointed.
Straight.
Whether at each other, mostly, what was going on. But here again, but there was 5 of us and we held everyone accountable. Listen, we got to D up on that. We got to help on this. We got, we're just holding each other accountable. And listen, man, all of us are here from the congregation tonight. I expect every one of y'all to stay saved.
Yeah.
Do y'all expect Brother Latimer to stay saved?
Right.
Then I expect you to stay safe. We were all in this. I trust you would be disappointed if you found out I backslid.
Right.
I would be highly disappointed if I found out any of y'all give up.
Right.
I would encourage you to get back in. But you got to think, listen, this is bigger than us. This is what I love. There was one thing I loved about this. Was basketball was you was on a team. I love being on a team. I love being on a team. I love being around other guys, especially when you got all of you with the same vision, the same determination. And so I'm going to get into something here. I was going to try to wait until next week, but maybe we'll pick it up because our time is going fast. One of the first things, and listen, guys, you've got to have a desire to want to be saved and stay saved. And you've got to be willing to work at it. And you've got to be this determined. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get this. And there's times when you're first learning, and you're first battling things that maybe what in the world's going on? You've got to be around those who have experience. That's why one of your corner carriers needs to be someone that has experience, has some time in, has some age, whatever. Whatever area that is that you would need someone. Okay? One of the first things, let's go to Ephesians 6. Because I wanna this is led right into it, so it's good. And listen, you guys speak right up. Even if it's, how do you do this? How do you do that? How did you get there? Or how do I get there? All right? It's got to be. Trevor?
Another thing that you touch on a lot too is consistency.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You've got to be consistent. You've got to stay with it. You've got to have discipline. Discipline is what produces consistency. Consistency doesn't produce discipline. I believe discipline is what keeps us consistent. Here in Ephesians 6, this is, let's just read it, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Okay, we're going to be in this passage right here for several months. Okay, and I'm going to just push into something right here real quick. And we're gonna start with, again, we're doing it from a warrior's mentality. A warrior's mentality goes into anything you do in this life. Your approach. It's an approach. It's a mindset. And we're using a soldier as an example. Okay? But it doesn't matter. I don't care what you're doing. You've got to get in and you've got to have this warrior's mentality or this warrior's approach. Okay? That term warrior is used in a lot of different aspects of life. He's an old warrior. She's an old warrior. Okay? They're a strong warrior. They're a young warrior. I don't care if it goes back to this state's heritage in Indians. There were warriors. And what were warriors? Huh? Fighters. What else? They had experience. They had desire. They had drive. They had anticipation. They had expectation. I'm talking about warriors. Okay? There was old warriors and there were young warriors, so listen to me. I'm only 51, but I'm the oldest one in here tonight. But listen, from me down to Zane the youngest or Tristan, listen, I'm expecting, you don't have to wait, Zane and Tristan, until you're 30. My desire through this and through other events we've got coming up, I want you two, I want y'all to be young warriors. Young warriors. You got young parents in here. I want you to be young, strong warriors. Okay? And that develops with time and experience. That's why you're not going to sit on the sidelines and get this. You've got to get into it. You've got to get in the middle of it. When I first started playing ball, and first time I got to play on the court with the big guys, I didn't do real good. I dreamed of that day a lot, but I got nervous. All right? But it was exciting to me. It wasn't, I'm never doing that again. I went home and worked to do whatever it took to do better the next time. Okay? So here, but one thing, and I want to start, if you can just bear with me here, a warrior, when they enlist, they get drafted, or they get recruited, or they voluntarily sign up, whatever, you get certain parts of your outfit and your armor. Okay, and I'm going to approach this from here. One of the first things that happens to an individual when they enlist is how do you enlist in God's army? You get saved. You get saved. And one of the first things you get in the military is it says this, that salvation is a helmet. A helmet of salvation. Let's read a few other scriptures on this. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians 5. Someone go to, what did I just say? 1 Thessalonians 5, I think it's verse 8. Somebody read that.
But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation.
So the helmet of salvation. All right? Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59. 16 through 19, I believe. Somebody can read that.
And he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness sustained him. For he put on the righteousness of the breastplate, and the helmet of salvation upon his head, and he put on the garments of vengeance for clothing, and was clad with zeal as a cloak. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay true to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies, to the islands he will repay recompense. And 19 as well.
No, that's good. That's good. I just mostly wanted 17 there. That we find that helmet of salvation. All right. So listen, Jack here, he's becoming the man. He's been tending to serve, and finally one day he gets saved. All right. And when you get saved, and listen to me, one of the first things that happen to you when you enlist in an army, you get a helmet. And it has your name on it, and sometimes a number. This is the helmet right here, saved. This is Porter, Oklahoma, salvation. Okay, this is the helmet of salvation, if you will. All right, so Jack comes to an altar. We're going to go over this a little bit more as we go along. He gets saved. He repents as we preach Sunday morning. He tells God he's sorry for his sin. He wants to enlist. He wants to be saved. He wants to be in the army of the Lord. All right, and so Jack gets saved. And he gets the helmet. Boy, he's already looking serious. And he gets this helmet of salvation. And you know what? When you get that helmet, you wear that. You wear that all the time. It's yours. You got to take care of it. It's got your name on it. It'll, in time, it gets battle scars. A lot of times they'll put stickers on them, different things, places they've been, battles. And I'm going to tell you, here we find Jack, and he's got, amen, the helmet of salvation on. And I'm going to tell you, it does something to you when you first enlist and you get that helmet and you put it on. I tell you, it does something to you when you get saved and you realize, man, I'm in the army of the Lord. I've enlisted. I'm part of something. I'm part of something. And listen, you've got to take care of this. What and why do we wear a helmet? To protect our head, to protect our mind. Because this is where the enemy first starts to deal with us. Is in our mind. And we got that helmet of salvation on so we can think right. And we can have, and I got all these scriptures in here, but we're already almost out of time. So just give me a little bit. I'm trying to get somewhere. We're going to go in this a little bit deeper on the next one. All right? But we've got to have the helmet to protect us. The enemy tries to infiltrate our mind with negative thoughts. Okay? Go back to our analogy here. If we enter into something thinking, man, I don't have a chance, then we can't think like that. That's not, this helmet of salvation, it's a helmet to protect us from getting wrong thoughts. Because we don't think like we used to. And we'll get into some scriptures here. Here, let's just go. This is one of, I'm going to read two to get started. Philippians 4. Someone find Philippians 4. I know we know all these, but let's read them anyways. Philippians 4. You can write down 6 through 8, but we're just going to read, I think it's 7.
The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus.
Okay, go ahead and read it.
7 or 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good, of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things.
All right, so we've got to think right. Listen, we got to think right. Salvation changes our thinking. Sometimes they're in a compound, and sometimes there's a certain thing called a certain week it's called buds. All right, it's an extremely tough week where you're awake from Sunday to Friday, no sleep, and you're constantly being tested. All right. Most of the guys said by Wednesday, the third day, they're out of their minds already. They hallucinate. They just see things. They're just out of it, and you just got to keep going. Okay. But at any time during the training, from the beginning to the end, in the middle of the compound, okay, and everyone's wearing their helmet, there's a bell that is set up in the middle of the compound. When they went to Bud's, it was on the hitch of a truck on a stand. At any time it got too hard, you could go and ring the bell 3 times. It wasn't like this. You ring that bell 3 times. That meant I quit. SEAL training, not the whole military, but that difficult elite status. And then you took your helmet and you laid it on the floor by the bell. At any time you felt it was too much, everyone knew somebody's quitting. Somebody's quitting. And they would walk by where that bell was set up, and there'd be a helmet, 2 helmets, 3 helmets. And let me tell you something. The classes ranged anywhere from 150 to 400. One guy said his class was 150, 165. 7 people made it. That's how many people rang the bell. That's how many. There was 138 or 52, depending on 150, 165. Helmets all around that bell. One guy said their class was 400 and only like 20-something, 30-something. That's how many guys. I'm going to tell you something. It's the same with those who get started in this. There's only a few that have what it takes, that have this mind. I'm not going to throw my helmet down. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to backslide. I'm not going to give up and just walk away. I'm not ringing the bell. I don't want to get close to it. But you know what? There's that week called Buds. They call it a certain week. They call it Hell Week. I mean, they said it's the most difficult thing to go through. Their body, they're bleeding, they're hallucinating, they're in and out of the ocean, the sand, they said they're chapped, the sand's everywhere. I mean, and they're having to carry their boats, and they're on a team, and they're carrying these big logs. That's all in the sand. It's freezing cold. It's in the ocean, and they're out of it from Sunday to Friday with no breaks. They get 1 hour, I think, of sleep. I can't remember what it was, but they said it felt like 2 seconds. And they said you're just shaking. You're just shaking. You're cold. And the guys are there, the sergeants are there with the bullhorn, or they'll come right down beside you. Hey, the bell's right there. The bell's right here. All you have to do is ring it. We'll take you in. You get a warm shower. You'll be able to eat because you're not allowed to eat. You can't eat. Listen. We'll give you a warm meal. You ain't got to do it. And they're hollering at them, trying to get them to quit, trying to break them. But they're trying to find out who's got what it takes. And I'm going to tell you, the devil's going to do that just a lot worse. He's going to be right there when you're tempted. And he's going to tell you, all You can go in there and you won't be shaking no more. You can get a warm shower. They'll give you a meal. You can go in there and you can go sleep for the next 3 days. But you got, and everyone knows. Here's your helmet. Come on, there's too many people that get caught up. They get caught up and they start thinking wrong. They start thinking about where they could be instead of in this cold ocean again. And they volunteer for this. Nobody's making them. Nobody's making us be safe. Nobody's making us fight the devil. And I'll tell you, and the devil's going, hey, come on, just ring the bell. And so many people, they finally let this wrong thinking, if there's going to be any virtue, if there's going to be any praise, or if there's going to be any glory, any victory, you're going to have to think right. You're going to have to think true, honor. If not, I tell you, too many people got fed up and they just taken their helmet and thrown it down and walked away from God. We can't do that. Is this you? Would that be you? I said, I don't want my helmet sitting at the door when everyone has walked out of this building and give up on God because the devil got them thinking the wrong way, and they begin to think outside of the battle and outside of the victories that they could have, and they start thinking about that nice warm meal and that nice warm shower and the rest that they could go sleep because they've been up for 3 or 4 days already. Instead of thinking what they were going to become and what they were going to be able to do and what they were going to be able to accomplish and how they were going to be able to help someone else and fight for someone else because they endured these things to help others. Come on, I don't even want to think about the bell ringing for me. You know, they would hear this. They would hear that bell. Someone quit.
That probably right there was a temptation for the other soldiers.
Two things. Sometimes the temptation, most of the time it was the opposite. When I hear of someone that loses out, that makes me be stronger. When I hear someone backslide, it makes me more determined to not give up my salvation. When I hear that congregations go off, ministers go off, people go off, it makes me more determined. I'm not thinking, oh, maybe I should. But the devil will use it. It's not that it doesn't cause a battle. You think, man, if they can, what's the devil going to try on me? And let me tell you something, every one of you men in here, the devil has a trick just for you. He's got a plan to destroy every one of us. And it's specially designed just for you to be able to give up, to ring the bell. And you can have your helmet sitting right outside the door, and everyone see when, I remember them. How sad would it be to get right down, to the very last portion of that difficult time before you made it. And listen, just because you made it through that week, it wasn't over. These men went to a pool. They were bound hand and foot and had to swim. And then they had scuba gear on, and the instructors came down there and ripped it off of them, and they weren't allowed to fight back. And you know what? They drowned. Some of them drowned. One guy told me, he goes, I drowned. He goes, they CPR, they brought me back. He goes, the guy beside me never came back. He died. I forgot, I think 11 people have died in these trainings. Now that's not a big number, but whew. I'd rather give my life like the martyrs did than to, I quit. I quit. God, help us that we would have this determination that when we hear this, God, with your help and your grace, that would never be me. I don't want that to ever be me. And you've got to go into this, and you've got to keep your helmet on. Listen to me, man. You've got to keep your helmet on. What's it going to do you any good to throw your helmet down and then let it sit out there while you walk out? One less soldier, one less person to fight this battle on that we need everyone we can get. And I'll tell you, there's helmets sitting by the belt that I didn't ever think I'd see sitting at the belt. There's helmets at the belt that you could have never convinced me ever that's sitting there. But I'm going to tell you, if you don't keep your salvation up, you won't think right. And I'll tell you, you'll end up throwing your helmet down, you'll ring that bell, and you'll walk out on God. You'll give into your temptations. You'll give into your feelings. You'll give into your present circumstance because it's hard right now. We can't do that. Listen, we're talking about soldiers. Our very opening scriptures was that no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier. He tells him in the first verse, be strong, be faithful, endure hardness. Listen, endure hardness. You don't have to always be doing this. Endure, be strong. He's not setting us up for failure. He said he would never allow anything to come on us that we couldn't bear. Do you believe that? I believe that. So this is the mentality. When things come our way, if God says I can do it, then that's what I'm doing. I'm not throwing my helmet down. I'm not ringing the bell. Because if God says that I can be safe and stay safe, then that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'll be doing everything I can to get that done. The last thing I'm going to be doing, I don't care if I have to hold my helmet on with 2 hands. I'm not giving up. I'm not letting anybody take my salvation. I'm not going to let anybody cause me to start thinking the wrong way. And listen, if you go into your battles, you go into your trials, well, I sure hope I'm saved at the end of this. Come on. Back to where, when we stepped on the court, we expected to win. We expected to win. Because I worked at it. And when battles and things come against the situation, I expect to come through them. Because, number one, God said I could. And number two, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I certainly will. And maybe during them, we found out, well, I need to strengthen up right here. Or, you know, if we're behind a few points, we need to change something up here. Whether it was a defense or just play a little bit stronger or hustle a little bit more. Listen, man, I'm telling you, this is serious. This kind of teaching and these scriptures right here and these kind of lessons is what gets me fired up and makes me more determined. I'm not, Pete sings that song, I'm not going to give up my crown, something like that. I'm not going to give up my helmet. You're not, with God's help, you're not going to see my helmet sitting by the bell at the door. It's just not happening. Do you have that settled? Even when your best buddy, come on, man, even if your wife, boys, if your girlfriend, sad to say, with God's help and grace, not here, but there's places when the pastor, and sad to say, it made others do the same. Listen, you've got to be serious. You keep your helmet on. Most of these helmets have a chin strap. I tell you, I'm not even taking that off. I'm keeping my helmet on. I'm not going to take the chance of just taking it easy and just unstrapping my chin strap, and because I don't want the enemy getting in on my mind. You know, a lot of temptations, amen, we could allow ourselves to unstrap and just pushing the helmet back on our head to take a break. We open ourselves up.
Playing loose.
Huh?
Playing loose.
Playing loose. No man that warreth entangleth himself. That means doesn't give the enemy opportunity. Back to Sunday night's message. One day, I had a chance to be a soldier. What are we doing with that? You throwing our helmet down? Have we considered ringing the bell? How terrifying. How terrifying to hear that bell ringing. How many times, no doubt, those guys was together. Man, come on, hang in there. Let's stay in here. Let's stay in here. And no doubt they were tempted at times to ring the bell. It would have been easy to ring the bell. Most did. Do you get that? Listen to me, man. Most do. But they're not the ones to be counted on. They're not the ones, that the commander-in-chief looks to. Come on. I want all of us to be men that God can look down and say, yes, 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 yes. Not, and there's your helmet that's sitting by the bell. Endure hardness as a good soldier. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life. That line sticks out to me every time. And this is why I'm watchful. Now listen to me. I'm watchful what I get involved in. I'm watchful where my feelings are going, where my heart's going. I'm watchful on what I'm allowing my mind to take in. And with my helmet on, that protects that mindset that would take me down the wrong road. That would take me down the wrong path. That would take me right over by the bell. Adam and Eve wandered over where the bell was, didn't they? I wonder how many guys looked at the bell. How many guys got over to the bell just to see? I wonder how many guys wouldn't even look at it. I wonder how many guys had the determination not even to think about it. What was their response when the sergeant was going, hey, all you got to do is ring the bell. It's right there. It's right there. Just walk over there and ring the bell. That's what they would do. And this is what the devil tries to do. He tries to get you to give in and just throw your helmet down. Ring the bell. Then what? Then what? So listen, man. I know we went over our time a little bit. Keep this on right here. Keep your helmet on. Don't throw your helmet off. Don't ring the bell. Stay in this. When you're being tempted, be by that corner carrier. Be by that one that's saying, come on! be those kind of men. Be those kind of men. Not nitpicking. Not having little cat fights. Not arguing and having issues over stupid stuff. But come on! Stay away from the bell! Keep your helmet on! We can do this, let's go through this together! Even when the sergeant's hollering at him, come on! The bell's right there! They got the warm showers going! And you're sitting there shaking, freezing. Hypothermic, they're puking, they got it coming out of everywhere. They're sick. And all that can end. All you gotta do is but this man needs to be hollering across over there. Don't do it! Be strong! Hang in there! Because he is. And if he is, then you can. And if he is, then you can. Right? Now, does it mean we're weak when we're saying, listen, I need your prayers. I need your prayers. When they're carrying that boat, they say, man, I'm getting tired. Come on, 10 more feet. I'm getting tired. This one guy, he said his legs, he couldn't even feel it. He goes, I thought they were broke. He goes, I would have told you that they were broke. So it's the most grueling pain that you go through. And they try to break you down to make you give up. It's to make you give up. And that's what the devil, that's all he wants you to do. He just wants you to give up. But when you get through that system and you've come through it and you didn't give up, guess what? They trust you. They believe in you. And they say, this is the one that we know can get the job done. And God needs to be able to say that about this man, about you, about you, about you, about you, you, us. That's my desire for all of us. Is that God can believe and trust in us because we're not the ones thinking about, oh, I just need to give up. I just need to quit going to church. I'll just start going on certain nights. I'll just start going on certain days. I just won't come here. I just won't go there. You're looking at the bell. You're getting close to the bell. You're inching. You got your chin strap already off. So men, listen, let's stay in this. And I could go on and on. I got a lot more scriptures. We'll get into them maybe the next time. But listen, keep yourself. Don't throw your salvation away. It ought not be so easy just to throw your hands up and walk away and ring the bell. Be careful what you're looking at. Be careful what you're thinking about. Be careful not being watchful. Be careful what you're reading. What you're fascinating about. The most important thing in our lives of being a soldier that God can count on to make heaven our home. And I want to tell you, it starts with keeping your helmet on. There's a lot of things He's going to give us to help that too. But it starts with thinking right. It starts with being watchful, taking action, being humble. All right. So I want to challenge you this. I want to challenge you this time. Until the next time. How you thinking? What you thinking about? What you thinking about? Are you keeping your helmet? Are you keeping your helmet on? Are you keeping your salvation? Are you doing everything to keep your salvation going? Are you being watchful? Are you thinking? Are you thinking before you do things? Are you allowing the enemy to cause you to think wrong? He tells us right here, if there's going to be any virtue, if there's going to be any praise, if there's going to be anything when it's all over, you have to think on these things. You have to think right. So I want to challenge all of us. Let's think right. In all our situations that come against us, they're going to happen probably maybe before you even go to bed tonight. There's going to be things that come against you. Think right about it. Think right. Handle it. And when you think right, you'll be watchful. You'll handle them right. And the more you do it, as Nathan brought it up earlier, it'll become automatic. Yep, I see that. Yep. Yep. And you'll handle it right over and over and over and over again. Until it becomes, you don't even think about it, you just do it. He mentioned this. There's times, and not as much as I don't play as much and I'm older. Coming down the court, I didn't even know what I was going to do with the ball. I just expected my instincts to take over a lot of times. But that's only comes through putting the time in. Good.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult here. You said we have to think right. So all of us in the room are kind of at probably different places in our lives. What does thinking right in our situation, like I'm maybe not looking for personal advice from me in front of everybody right now, but what is thinking right? Is that just being positive and looking for a positive outcome in every situation?
Thinking right is the response will be handling yourself right. Thinking right will cause you to respond right. Okay? That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned. I've got to think right. That will help me respond right. Okay? And thinking right will cause me to respond even over my feelings. Even what I'm feeling. Thinking right will even respond over wrong thoughts. If that makes sense. Go ahead.
So, I think to answer that question, it all has to have a basis or a premise of something. And this goes back to the basketball parallel is, what's the goal?
Yeah.
What's the goal? Because I know what he means when he says thinking right. His goal is being saved, sanctified, solid, church of God, being everything that God wants us to be. And so when he says think right, it all pertains to that. Now, if I'm caught up in business, or I'm caught up in hobbies, or I'm caught up in other things, then when someone says thinking right, I'm not going to think about the same thing that he's thinking about. So what's the goal? What's the purpose? And that's what came to mind. I didn't want to say it because I felt like I talked too much already. But the reason that we were as successful as we were, the reason that we did what we did, is because we wanted to win more than anything. And half the reason why we beat teams that were better than us is because we wanted to win more than they did. Yeah. And so the thinking right has to be, what is my goal? What am I trying to do? My thinking right is going to be different than someone in the world who they think they're thinking right, but they're chasing something totally different. Right. And so it's all based on what your goal is. And really it all comes back to be different than someone else.
The goal is the key. Yeah. Okay, that was the key word. Yeah. It doesn't matter what I don't care if I'm dealing with my children, my wife, the congregation, anything. I've got to think right if I want the right outcome with what I'm dealing with. All right? I've got to have the right outcome. So, just say for instance, say I'm dealing with one of my children on the same issue again. Now, if I don't think right, I can destroy them. If I'm counseling, if I'm pastoring a situation and I don't think right, and I'm going to tell you something, this is what's destroyed a lot of relationships, a lot of people, a lot of congregations is people don't think right. Okay? Now, I had to think right when I was in the pew and came to the altar and maybe got reprimanded. I had to think right. Now, I just so happened to have a pastor that I knew loved me and cared for me, and I trusted him. And so my thought process was, I thought right because I knew he wanted me to do well. So I had to think right. And so it doesn't matter, the main thing is thinking right is what do we want out of this outcome? What is the outcome that we're designing? Okay? I've been married for almost 28 years. All right? If I don't think right in dealing with my wife, I know it can go one way or the other. I've got to think right. All right? Do I? And again, I use my wife as an example, but us right here, are we just picking at things? Are we just trying to make someone look bad, feel bad, trying to show them that they're wrong? All right? That's not thinking right. Okay? And again, if there's anybody that needs to be pointing fingers at what's right and wrong, it would be me. But I don't even try to do that. Now, hear me out. I'm not talking about things that we need to talk about. Things that we need to see. I'm just talking about things that would just try to cause a problem. There's things that are unnecessary. And if we don't think right, okay, I've been approached by people that I knew they weren't thinking right, so I said, I know I'm better. And it wasn't to outdo them, it was just to let them think that right there. Instead of making an argument out of it. Now, I'm not talking about serious issues that was going to cause damage, just, if they were just trivial things. So when I say we need to think right, that means, okay, going into whatever we're going into, what's the outcome we want? Okay, do we want peace? Do we want satisfaction? Do we want happiness? Do we want victory? I know what it takes to stay saved. I know how to think to stay saved. I know how to think to not be saved. Again, I knew the mindset it took to be a good ball player. I really, really did. Because I put time into it. And listen to me, men. The best thing you can have is people around you that think right. The best leader you can be or that you can have is someone who thinks right. Because it builds trust. And men, if you're going to lead your families, you got to think right. And your thoughts, I said your thoughts are not always the right thoughts. Thinking right comes from Philippians 2:5 and 1 Corinthians 2:16 is having the mind of Christ. That is that in everything that we do, okay? Even in our business things. If I'm going to have a successful day, if I'm going to have a successful week, if I'm going to have a successful business, I'm going to have to think right. What's the outcome that I want? And then that's what I got to put in place. I think this way as a pastor. If we're going to have a good congregation, I've got to think right. If I don't think right, how can I expect anyone else to think right or produce something from that? And again, I've got to get past what I think. I've got to get past what I think. But what does God want? And He has to help my thinking be right. We've got to have the mind of Christ. So if you lead with the right thinking, you get the right outcome. That makes sense? Well, John? Does that help?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it does. It does.
Good. Listen, what will happen, guys, if you'll meditate on this, if you'll think on these things, lights will start to come on. It happened to me. It still does. It still does. Have you ever spoke without thinking? I was thinking about one today that I did in a minister's meeting one time. And I threw my wonderful pastor that had raised me for so long right under the bus in front of the whole ministry. And I didn't even realize it until a couple of days later in the camp meeting. I was laying in my bed and my heart sank when I realized what I had done. And I went to him that night and I said, well, I just realized what I did today. And he didn't even say nothing. He didn't rebuke me in front of anybody, because he was thinking right. He could have rebuked me, should have rebuked me. I would have took my rebuke. But he didn't say nothing. The light came on because I wanted to think right. And I went to him. And I said, Brother Wilcox, I'm sorry. And I said, I will apologize to the ministry. I knew, because a lot of times Brother Wilcox will try to make you not feel so bad. But when I said that, what I did, and he just looked at me, I knew he knew, man, that was bad. And then that made me feel worse. I told him I'd apologize to the ministry. He said I didn't need to, but I did anyways. But when I wasn't thinking right and he was thinking right, that taught me how to think right. Don't say that. Think before we speak. Okay, we've gone a long time here. Keep your helmet on. Keep your thinking where it needs to, okay? Men, so the challenge, now, be watchful, be thinking right. Being watchful will cause you to think right. So, let's think. Keep your helmet on. Don't think about the bell. Think about one of the great coaches that I liked a lot. He said, don't think about losing, think about winning. That was a simple one-liner that he put in his players' head. Don't think about losing, think about winning. I don't think about backsliding. I just don't. This is why people come in service after service with their worship acceptable, because they think about winning. It's all about winning. Even if the battle's hard, even if things aren't going great, I'm not going to quit. I'm not ringing a bell. I'm just going to win. And it doesn't say, well, Brother Ivor, you're special, you're this. No. It's developing the right way to think. Trevor?
This is all a very simple way to put it, but one thing that the devil has worked on me is if you can't get you to think right, sometimes it gets you to overthink too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it just...
Yeah. Sometimes you think too much. Sometimes you can think too much. Listen, he has a trap. And if you're an overthinker, that's where he's going to try to get you. Okay? And if you're one that just don't think much, he's going to get you there. All right? But if you're a level-headed, good, strong thinker, okay, he's not going to give up on you, but he's just going to know, listen, this ain't going to be easy. But he knows, and you know, there is a place that he will work, that he knows he can try to work. And that's where he'll work. I can tell you right now, there's only one or two places that's been in my experience for the last 20, 25 years I know the devil's going to work, because he just knows that nothing else is going to work. And so, if you stay guarded right there, yeah, you got to battle a little bit. You got to battle a little bit. But I already know I'm not giving in to that. I've already let the devil know. I remember Brother Todd Herman told me that. He said, I made up my mind. The devil came up. He always talked with him. He goes, hey, you got the wrong guy. I'll never forget that. I just said that, you got the wrong guy. He if you're one that overthinks, if you're one that, can get worked up easily, you're the one that is going to be after the most. But you don't have to be that way. You don't have to be that way. Nate?
Real quick, I know it's late. But I think we all think that, obviously, we make decisions that we think are right, and we're all thinking right.
Right.
The way we're thinking because we think it's right. So what I had to learn, because I went straight from basketball to training coonhounds and dogs, I learned so much from it. But it all has to be result-based. I can think I'm thinking right, and I can be doing what I think I'm doing right, but if I'm not getting the results that I want to get, then honestly I'm not getting right.
Yeah.
So we got to switch it up.
100%. And I've taught about that a lot, being able to adjust. You've got to be able to change. I had to change. I've had to adjust stuff through my ministry that didn't work for us as a congregation. Not the message, just what would cause us to do better, to be stronger. All right? And the thing is, you've got to have this right here to say, listen, this ain't working. And the other thing was, I learned, and I had to be okay with someone telling me where I was wrong, or that where I needed to maybe adjust or change. I had to be okay with that. So for Brother Wilcox, I trusted him if he said, listen, I think if you do this or you need to do this, I did that. I didn't say he didn't know what he was talking about. I did how I was instructed. A lot of people don't like to be told what to do. They don't like to be coached. They don't want to change because they're set in their way. They're set on their thinking. And that this is the way it's going to be. And there's some people, this is why they're not successful. This is why they're still struggling. This is why things still aren't like they need to be. It's because they're stuck on their thinking and they don't want to be coached and they don't want to change. And I, just not long ago, Brother Wilcoxon was my older mentor in my life, and after he was gone, I did a lot before that with the Calvin Price. And as far as ministries, he's just one that I lean on a lot. And I talked to him about some things, and I told him some things that I was going to do and that I thought I needed to go, and he said the opposite. I'll tell you one, this is something different. We was going to go to Cayman Islands. Me, Nathan, Brother Wilcoxon, Brother Sealy. Okay, Brother Terry was not well. Brother Calvin Price said, you probably need to stay. He said that family will remember you doing that than you going and doing this over here. So I said, and I really wanted to go to this. I was involved in it, had a lot of time put into it. But I thought I need to take that counsel. Brother Terry was supposed to live for months. He was gone before I would have returned.
Oh, the day you got there.
He was, and I thought, that was wisdom. I'm glad that I didn't go with my own thinking. And then this other incident, just not long ago, I sat and the tears just came down my face. I thought, what? I want to do what's right. Now it was against, and what I thought I was going to do was really, really good and really, really strong, and there wouldn't have been nothing wrong with it, but it would have put me in a box. That looking back now. Because here's what can happen, man. You think a certain way, and it puts you in a box. You get committed to something, and then you're stuck. Then you're stuck. So we got to think right. And listen, every one of us need to be able to learn to listen and to think. Now I need to talk to someone, or I need to think about this. All right? And it won't even be that. It would be wrong. Sometimes you just need to have the ability to talk to someone else, or the humility. Because this mindset that we're talking about will be successful in every aspect of your life if you'll take it. And if you're not being, this is why. If your life, spiritually, physically, mentally, financially, work, whatever, if it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, this is the problem right here. I promise.
Sorry, what's the problem? Not thinking right?
Yeah. Thinking what I'm going, I'll fix it. Not wanting to be coached, not wanting to be told what to do, not wanting to change. Or change enough. Hey, I've been there. I'm speaking from experience. And I tell the Lord all the time, you do and help me to adjust wherever I need to adjust. Because as you get older, your thinking changes. Everything changes, but I want it to be within the guidelines of what God wants. I remember Brother Luke and myself started the Pro Wash, okay? We was not on the same page when we first started. How we thought, how we think, all right? I had done it lots of times and he hadn't, all right? It took him some time to get the right mindset how this works, all right? There'll be a base of just givens, and then there's that thinking that you fine-tune that makes it great. There's basics of, for us it was business, and then there was that thinking outside the box that fine-tunes it. Thinking within our ability, thinking within what we could accomplish, okay? But all that came from just things that I've been through in life, all right? I'm not saying that I have all the experience in the world, because I haven't, but I've had a lot of experience, and I've had a lot of success in that sense. I've had a lot of failures. But I'm just saying, I would be known a lot more for success than I would be for failures. And that's only because my raising that I got, in the teaching that I got, and the obedience that I gave to it. To be able to do that, and to develop that mindset, to be able to learn, to listen, to change. And I have my list of success. I would be known clear back. If you talk to anybody from my high school, they would talk about success. But it would be in sports. Okay, that don't mean nothing to the Lord. But if you went back to my old congregation, they would tell you the same. All right? Yep, I had some failures along the way. But I would be known only because, again, God and His help towards me and those that He put in my life that I thank Him every day for. The pastors, my Sunday school teachers, the pillars. I thank Him every day because that's what's developed me to be able to have a list of success and a real short list of failures. Daily things, not just big things. But it's having the being watchful, thinking right, being active and being humble. Okay, all right. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this time together. Thank you for the thoughts. Thank you for your word. Thank you, dear God, that we can be inspired. Thank you, dear God, we can be challenged. My God, we want to be all the men that you would have us to be. Help us, God, to be strong. Help us, God, Lord, that we would be in a place, God, where we wouldn't even have to consider, dear God. Lord, the enemy would not even get to us enough to think about, to giving in,